So are you going to say the prayer or am I going to say the prayer?
I'm not going to turn down a chance to say a prayer.
All right, we're going to say, okay, go ahead. I'll let you lead the prayer, all right? We're going to pray and make sure that this is to glorify God. So go ahead and lead us in a prayer real quick.
Okay. Lord, I thank you for the opportunity that my brother Donnie has provided here, Lord, through this resource, Lord, to spread your word and to expand your kingdom. And Father, whoever's listening, Lord, on the other end of this video, who's watching this, Father, I pray, God, that the presence of the Holy Spirit would fill the room wherever they are. And Father, if they're discouraged, if they're down, Lord, if they've given up, Father, I pray, Lord, that you would just begin to show your love, Lord. Lord, that you would just begin to love on them, Father, to show them that Jeremiah 29:11, Father, that you have a plan and that you have a good purpose for their life, Father, not plans to harm them or destroy them, but, Lord, plans to give them a hope and to give them a future. And, Lord, that Proverbs 3, 5, and 6, Lord, that if they would put their trust in you, Lord, with all their heart and not lean on their own understanding, but they would trust you with all their heart, Lord, that Father God, that you would cause everything to work for their good.
This podcast is brought to you by My Snackies. We're a family-owned Christian business that believes in traditional family values, loves America, and supports our service members. If you like freeze-dried candy, make sure you check out My Snackies at my-snackies.com. What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of Spoken Like a Man. I am the man, Donnie, and I got one of my homies here, Tony Cline. I'm actually really excited to sit here and have a conversation with you. He's going to share his testimony, another testimony about overcoming adversity, turning to Christ, and how much it's improved his life. Tony, thank you so much for being on my show, brother.
Thanks for having me, man.
You bet.
I've been looking forward to it.
Me too, man. I really have. I like talking to boys or you guys from the Hope for the Hood.
Yeah.
I enjoy it, man. So tell me a little bit about how you got involved with Hope for the Hood. I bounce around a little bit. I'm going to ask you about your testimony, but how did you get involved with Hope for the Hood?
Okay, the first time back in 2017, I had come off the streets, and I had one option, and that was to go into an Oxford house. While I was in that Oxford house, God opened the door for me to serve at Indian Hills Church of the Nazarene over on Meridian Street. And while I was serving there, I had gotten a call from a friend of mine. He and Benny were riding down Broadway, and he had told Benny that I led worship. And I got invited to an event back in 2017, to a Love Your Community event with Angel Martinez, and Benny and Hope for the Hood were performing there and ministering there, and I got invited to do worship there, and that's how we originally met.
Nice, man. You know, I've been trying to get Benny on here. Every time I ask him, he's like, you know what, I got these other brothers that no, man, he's like, I got these other guys that got better testimonies than mine, and I like his testimony. I want to share it.
Yeah.
So you said you were on the streets when you came into Hope for the Hood. Really, you kind of met Benny through an event, met Hope for the Hood. Tell me a little bit about how'd you end up on the streets? What was going on there?
How do I know?
How did you end up on the streets?
How did I end up on the streets?
Yeah.
So I had been in ministry for years, worked for several churches as a praise and worship leader, and was an associate to the pastor. Actually was raised in church, never dreamed in a million years that my life was going to go down the path that it did. But due to several car wrecks, I had a lot of back injuries and dealt with a lot of chronic pain. And anyway, while I was in ministry at a church up by Kansas City, I found out that I had a blood disease called antiphospholipid antibody. I started.
What the heck is that?
You either just start bleeding out, blood just starts gushing out of you, or you start throwing clots. And because of that, my wife of almost 20 years, due to my health conditions, her and the dare officer disappeared with my 5 kids. It took me over 10 years to find them. And because of all of that, I came to Wichita to be by what family I had left, which was my parents. And
this was well before Hope for the Hood, right?
Yeah, this is what led up to it. But during that time, I had couldn't find a pain doctor, and so I got into the cocaine world and got into that game and into that way of life, and was addicted to the lifestyle, to the money, to different people that had a lot of influence on my life. And because of that, instead of turning to God that I knew for pain and those kind of issues, I turned to the drugs. I turned to cocaine. It numbed my mind. I was going through emotional trauma from the loss of my family. I didn't know how to process it.
How long ago was that?
In 07.
07?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so I'm bouncing around a little bit. It was 07, and then you linked up with Benny in 17. So over the course of that 10 years, tell me a little bit about that. So in 07,
over that course,
you started having issues with coke. You were part of that lifestyle. Were you dealing too, or were you just kind of stuck in?
I was dealing as well. I had hooked up with a man that had done 20 years in the penitentiary, and he was a large cocaine dealer here in the city, and he and I linked up. I bought a new car from Davis Moore, a Jeep Grand Cherokee, and I had some money, and so we linked up our resources together and was rolling hard in the city of selling drugs, and of course I was using as well. Thought I had control of it.
Mm-hmm.
And
like everybody does.
you know, I actually thought it was my medication. I was like, even though I knew God, I was like, man, God's got me in this circle. This is my medication. He's provided my medication, and I'm out here being able to talk to people that nobody in the church could. And I was deceived. I was thinking that God allowed me to go into this territory and so that I could actually, I was out, even though I was in the streets, even though I was in this lifestyle, I was still spreading, I was loving on people and telling them that there was power in Jesus Christ. I was totally deceived. I was using for pain purposes. I thought I had control of it, and I couldn't get medicine legally from a doctor, a pain doctor. You know, so I thought it's the next best thing.
A lot of people get pushed away from the church due to that kind of hypocrisy. And you know what? I was just like you, brother. I did the same thing with
really.
Weed. Oh yeah, I did the same thing with weed, and you know, that kind of, because they're hypocrites, right? And it wasn't intentional. It's like you were trying to be
deceived.
Yeah, you're sitting there and you go to church and you see these guys and they're like sitting there preaching the word and loving on people, and then going and smoking or whatever outside of church. It's like you go to Sunday for a couple of minutes and then you're right back at it after church.
Yeah.
So I see a lot of people that have been damaged from not testimonies, but people like that, right? While they're still going through that, obviously. Of course, your testimony is stronger, just like mine, once you've been through that and you've actually fully turned to Christ. But I've noticed a lot of people, man, I was one of them. I stopped going to church because of all the hypocrisy. You see all these people, oh, praise Jesus, and then they go out and smoke a bowl, right?
Yeah.
It just, one of the whole reasons I quit going to church. And that's one of the things I like about Hope for the Hood, man. They don't hold their nose up at people when they walk in there high and stuff, and they're like, hey, you're getting clean. I really appreciate it, and I like the accountability that they have too. So
we get real.
Yes. So what happened? Was there a certain event that happened or anything that made you really turn to Christ? I mean, stop with the hypocrisy, give up the drugs. What was it? Was it a rock bottom kind of event? What happened to make you fully commit?
So, not having my family, my parents had a restraining order against me here in Wichita, thinking the cartel was going to show up or somebody was going to show up at their house. They were afraid, and so they had a restraining order against me. And the end result of my addiction caused me to lose everything. I ended up on the streets here in Wichita without a pair of shoes.
You know about what size or what year that was?
That would have been 2015, 2016.
So from 2007 to 15, you were kind of living this lifestyle. You were doing all right. And then 2015, you kind of hit rock bottom and were on like homeless.
From 2007 to 2015, there was a lot of different things that happened in my life. Before any of this happened, there's so many different things that happened between that time. I had a revelation of God and His love. I remember when I went to school to pick my kids up, the day that I found out they had gone. Part of our routine was going to school, picking my children up, and then she would come home later after she finished up her schoolwork. But I went to pick up my son first, and then my daughters. He was gone. The teacher told me to go to my wife's classroom, and the lights.
Your wife's classroom? Was she one of the teachers there?
Yes.
Gotcha.
And the lights were off, the door was locked, and they were gone. I remember going into the house, and that empty house, not knowing where they were. I looked everywhere for them, couldn't find them. I went by my in-laws' house and was told to leave, or they would call the police.
This is while you were still in the throes of your addiction, right?
No, this is while I had been in ministry.
Oh, really?
Yeah, this is while I'd been in ministry, and I had gotten sick and was in and out of the hospital. This was back in 2007.
Mm-hmm.
And
kind of when it all culminated.
That's when.
I got you.
That's when everything started happening. I remember I walked into the house. The house was empty, and I went out into the garage. We had a place out in the country. I went out to the garage, and I was broken before the Lord. And I was just weeping bitterly, and I was like, God, if I've done my wife wrong, please forgive me. I went down every name of my child. If I've done my daughter Alexis wrong, please forgive me. Sierra, Harmony, Tanner, Zach. I went through all of them. I was out there probably for hours, and I never had reached such a broken place in my life. And I remember going in to the living room. There's a line in a song that I wrote. It says, have you ever cried till the tears were all gone? I remember I was still crying, but I had no more tears left. Something I had never experienced before. But while I was sitting in the chair in the living room, it was just like a shaft of God's love just started pouring down on me. And during that time, I was so overwhelmed by the love of God. I felt hot. I felt like if he didn't shut it off, I was going to explode. I was going to die. I was like, God, I can't take any more of this. I never understood any kind of love like this ever. And I remember getting up, looking into the mirror, and I was beat red. I walked outside. I knew God loved me enough that if I asked him to blaze a star across the sky, he would do it. I knew whatever I asked him, he would do. And I was fixing to say it. And before I could get it out of my mouth, here came a shooting star across the sky, just the longest, brightest one I ever seen. And he was like, son, I know your words and your thoughts before you ever speak them. So I never knew it was in the Bible.
I'm trying to build a bit of a timeline here. So you've got, in 2007, this is where your life kind of, it's weird because you said this is where it kind of started falling apart, but it sounds like it's also where you had like a supernatural encounter with Christ.
I had an encounter with Christ first. And then after that season, after I went through that encounter with Christ, is when I came to Wichita. That's when God showed me his love before I ever went through anything that I went through in the cocaine world, through the streets. He made himself real to me in a powerful way before I ever went through any of this.
So up until 2007, had you ever had any drug issues or?
Not then, not like, other than just my regular medication from my doctor.
So you said you were raised Christian, you were raised in a godly household pretty much, and then all the way up until 2007, then you came into Wichita. So it's really been in the past 18 or 20 years, I guess, that you would had issues. I'm 40, so like that doesn't seem that long ago to me. But so 2007 was when things kind of you found you
that's when I went through the divorce. And 2012 is when I came to Wichita.
2012 is when you came to Wichita. So 2012 is actually when you started having issues with the cocaine and stuff.
Yes? Okay. In 2012.
So what happened in 2012? Because 2007 is when your wife kind of vanished with the kids, is what you were saying, right? Mm-hmm. So from 2007 to 2012, you weren't doing cocaine or drugs or anything, right?
So after I moved out of the home in the country and came here, I sat in a chair for 4 years. I need to back up. I was in a town. I moved to a town called Wilmore, Kansas. That's where my parents were living first. I moved to that town. I bought a house, and I found a doctor. And I couldn't deal with the trauma of everything. After I had that encounter with God, then I moved to Wilmore, Kansas from Missouri. And I found a doctor. And I got pain medications. I got Valiums. And basically I sat in a chair for 4 years, peeled up out of my head. Because I couldn't process what had happened to me. I just couldn't overcome it. It was like I was stuck. I tried reaching out to God. I tried to pray, but the emotional trauma overwhelmed me. So I just ate more pills, and I ate more pills, and I ate more pills. I stayed knocked out like 24/7.
So I'm trying to understand, and because
we need to start over.
No. I have the kind of the timeline built. So you had this supernatural, amazing encounter with Christ.
Yes.
That was life altering, but you proceeded to do the pills and stuff right after that. It's like you had this supernatural encounter after all that bad stuff. Your wife had just taken the kids and disappeared, and at the same time,
God showed me His love.
Yeah. So it sounds like you didn't even really get a step into any kind of calling. God just showed you His love, and you kind of turned your back on it, is what it sounds like. Is that pretty accurate?
I was dealing with a lot of chronic pain, and when I moved to, what
I'm trying to get at is how do you go from having that supernatural encounter to, for the next several years, being on drugs, is what I'm trying to understand.
So I was dealing with pain, and I had moved to Kansas and left my doctors that I had in Jefferson City, Missouri.
The pain was from a couple of car
From
wrecks.
car
you said,
wrecks,
right?
yeah.
Was
and
that before or after the 2007?
That was before.
Before.
That was in
Okay,
my
so
20s.
you had chronic pain that you
I had
were
chronic
dealing with.
pain for
Okay, that
years
makes more sense.
that I was dealing with.
I got you.
Yeah.
So you had chronic pain you were dealing with. 2007, your wife skedaddled with your kids, like I couldn't imagine. And then 2012, you moved to Wichita. What were you on the streets when you came to Wichita, or were you? So tell me a little bit about your journey through Wichita here.
My journey through Wichita was I ended up when I came here. I ended up in Galicia Heart Hospital. I was getting stents. I got 27 stents. I just had the sides of my heart working then. The middle and bottom of it were pretty much gone. And I was in Galicia Heart Hospital. Got stents, and when I came out, still in the chronic pain, still couldn't find a pain doctor here, and that's when I got into the cocaine.
Okay, so 2012 is when you got into the cocaine. So it's 2025 now, and you're clean now. When did you get clean?
Back in 2017, I was clean for 3 years till 2020. Then my mother became fatally ill. I moved in with my parents in 2020 to take full-time care of my mother. It was life and death, day and night, for 2 years. During that 2-year period of time, I relapsed. I went back to reverting to some of the ways that I had while I was out in the cocaine game. And I started banging Dilaudid, IVing Dilaudid, and snorting coke, smoking weed, trying to keep up with the routine of caring for my mother and the pain. I relapsed and went back into full-blown addiction.
So when did you meet Benny? Did he already know you, or?
I had done events with Benny before when I'd worked for the church at Indian Hills. In 2017, I had been with him for 3 years, and I had worked with the church for 3 years, and was clean and sober. When I moved in with my parents in 2020 to be a full-time caregiver, during that time is when I relapsed.
I got you. And so you'd known Benny since 2012, you said?
2017.
2017. And you worked on events and stuff. So when did you get... So in 2022, you had a relapse. And you've been clean now for how long? Since it's 25, so the past 3 years. When did you...
So, after my mother passed, I was still in my addiction. Then I had a 25-year-old daughter that had been in the hospital that I was taking care of. I lost her in 23. And at the end of 23, I was laying in the bed going through withdrawals because my Dilaudid plug went back to prison. And when he went back to prison, and I was going through those withdrawals, that's when Benny and the pastor of Hope for the Hood reached out to me. He sent me a message on Messenger inviting me to the men's group, discipleship group. Mm-hmm. And I decided I need to go check it out. It was humbling for me to go back in to a ministry that I had been involved in somewhat at previous discipleship groups. Back when they first started, I was going in and doing some worship when we used to meet at Want Coffee on 13th Street. And so for me to come back in as a failed leader and a person that had been in ministry in our city before, for me to come back in and to face all the guys was like really shameful, humbling, embarrassing, and but love met me there. And I just remember getting out of my car and thinking, I don't even know why I'm even here. And I just remember.
I know why you were there.
I just remember Benny running across the parking lot and throwing both arms around me, you know, and the love is what drew me in.
You know, God is always pursuing us. That's why I like telling people stories, man. Because no matter, you've had a rough life, brother. You've been through.
Been a little crazy.
The muck. Yeah, you've been through the muck.
Been
man.
a little crazy.
But God still loves you, and like if God can heal you, because you're sober and clean now. You're actually serving in the church now, right?
Yes.
As a, what was it called, the urban impact leader. So part of the outreach program that you go out and try to help bring people to Christ.
Yeah.
I think it's a powerful testimony that you had literally lost everything. You lost your wife, your kids, you were addicted to drugs, you'd relapsed a couple of times.
Yeah.
But God is so forgiving that you still feel that love, and He still healed you, and you're still working for Him now. That's pretty accurate, right?
Yeah, and so yes, I am clean and sober, and I during my time with Hope for the Hood, I also lead worship at Hope for the Hood, and
brother's musical. He's being modest.
But I remember one night I was carrying in back at the old church when I first started serving with Hope for the Hood. I started out playing bass with them, and I don't even remember if I was singing much, but I come in with chest pains, and I had all this heart damage, you know, and just the sides of my heart working, and I was like, man, I'm hurting. And Benny had walked by and he's like, what's the matter, brother? And I'm like, man, I think I might have to go to the emergency room. He laid his hand on my over my heart and began to pray, and I felt heat coming through his hand, and the pain left. And shortly after that, I went back to my cardiologist, and they were running all of my yearly tests, and I came back for the results. My ejection rate was in the 20s before, and when you hit 20, my understanding is then you go on the heart transplant list.
I'm not real familiar. You said your rejection rate? I'm not real familiar with that.
Ejection rate. Your ejection rate. That's how hard that's the how strong your heart squeezes down to pump the blood through your system. So that's called an ejection rate, and or they also call it ejection and fracture. And my ejection rate was in the low 20s. After that prayer, I went back for my results, and the doctor had told me my ejection rate had went to 60. I said, what is a normal ejection rate for a healthy human heart? The doctor told me 60. So it's documented that my heart's been healed. I'm in the gym every day now working out, which I could normally never do.
Bro,
and so,
you've had a bunch of stints. Your ejection rate was at 20, and you guys prayed over it. The Spirit of God healed your heart. Documented healed your heart.
Yeah, He did.
That's pretty amazing, brother.
He did. And then I had some problems going on with my lungs, and I never told anybody about it. I've just been singing long enough to where I knew how to grab an air here or grab an air there. Basically was doing a lot of faking, just kind of covering my bases. But I want to say it's been about a month and a half ago. I was singing Goodness of God. And as I was singing Goodness of God, God healed my lungs. My lungs just opened up. I could get full air like I never got in years. And I haven't got that one documented yet, but I know what I know. I know my breathing. I know that what I could do before while I was singing and what I can do now, and it's like night and day. And so I'm like, he's healed my heart, he's healed my lungs, he's restoring my health. And he did speak to me, and it was like, if you don't take care of yourself, don't take care of your health, you're not going to be able to complete the mission I called you to do. Mm-hmm. And so I'm doing my part, and I'm going to the gym, I'm eating right, I'm doing what I know to do, and trusting him with the rest of it. And in that process, I've been healed.
That's amazing. So tell me a little about, because God has delivered you and he's healing you. Tell me a little bit about what you feel your calling is, what your ministry is.
So, of course, I feel called to worship, to lead people into the presence of God. I felt that calling all my life. I should have died at birth. That's a whole nother testimony about the power.
Now you got to go into it, brother. You can't leave it like that and leave it. So you say you should have died at birth. Go ahead and elaborate a little bit. What do you mean by that?
So I was born in 1962 in a clinic in Sapulpa, Oklahoma. And my mother had been raised in a strict Christian home. My dad's side of the family, they were partiers and drinkers. My grandfather was a hardcore alcoholic. But my mom met my dad when they were in grade school. She had a compassion for my dad when he rode by on a bicycle and he had blood running off of him, and she asked him what happened, and he said his dad had beat him up. And anyway, so they were together. They eloped. My grandmother told them that my grandfather wasn't ever going to let them get married. My dad joined the military. My mother had decided, well, I'm going to become a military wife, and I'm going to party, and I'm going to drink, and I'm going to have all this fun that I never got to have growing up, being raised in the strict home. But she said that when I was conceived, when she found out that she was pregnant, all of those feelings of going to party, going to be the military wife, changed, and that she knew that if she wasn't walking holy before the Lord, that something bad was going to happen. She knew something was wrong with me. The whole time she was carrying me, and she just had a fear that she was either going to lose me or that I was going to be deformed. She just couldn't put her finger on it. But she felt like that if she didn't live a surrendered life to Jesus, that I wasn't going to make it. Born in the little clinic in Sapulpa, Oklahoma. When the doctor delivered me, he gave me to my mother and said, "Look, Patsy," my mother's name's Patsy Cline.
Really?
Yeah, and by marriage. And so he was like, "Look, Patsy, 10 fingers, 10 toes, you have a normal baby. All of this worrying has been for nothing." And my mom said, she gave me back to the doctor and said, "Well, you're wrong," and rolled over and looked at the wall and started crying. And that same day, I started projecting any fluids that they were, any of the milk, I just started shooting it across the room. Mm-hmm. I had pyloric stenosis, back in 1962, they had no cure for pyloric stenosis. And a baby couldn't handle any sedatives to put him to sleep, to even perform a surgery. And at that age, to go in pyloric stenosis, you have a wall in the middle of your stomach, and it only allows your food to go halfway down, and then you projectile it across the room. When it hits that, it shoots across the room, it comes back up. And so an infant couldn't handle the trauma of the surgery, or they couldn't handle the medicine they knock you out with. Back then, I forget the name of it, but it's what they used back in the 60s to put people under. And anyway, the plan was he was just going to send me home with my mother to die. And my mom told him, no, you're going to have to do something. He said, we're in a clinic. What would she wasn't going to take me home unless the doctor done something. The doctor said I could go in, we could sedate him, I could go in and remove the wall out of his stomach, but he won't make it. And my mom said, I would rather you try to do that than not do anything at all. So I know it sounds crazy, but I do have a memory of being handed to a doctor, people with masks on their face, lights in my eyes, and being laid on a cold table, and this thing coming over my face and going out. I have that memory, but that's all I do remember. Anyway, so the doctor went in a clinic, not a hospital, a clinic. He went in, he cut the wall out of my stomach, he sewed me back up, sent me back home, or gave me to my mom, sent me home. That happened on day 2 that I was born, and my second day of life, and sent me home, told my mother I wouldn't make it. On day 3, she was rocking me and my stomach exploded and all of my insides fell out.
Oh my God.
And my mom just scooped me up in the baby blanket. She had me in a baby blanket, and she scooped me up in the baby blanket. They rushed me back to Dr. Miller at the clinic there in Sapulpa, and basically stuffed all my organs back in and medical taped me from my waist to my armpits and sent me back home. The church that my mother and dad attended was in revival, and my mom took me and held me, sat down on the altar in the church, started praying that God would spare my life. And from what I understand, I am like the first survivor of pyloric stenosis in 1962.
Really?
Yeah.
See,
and so
brother,
God
stuff like
gave me
that lets
God
you
gave
know
me
that-
a miracle.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Stuff like that lets you know God's got a plan in your
Yeah.
life. I mean, the stuff that you've been through,
Yeah.
like you legitimately shouldn't have been here. is what it
Multiple
sounds like.
times.
Yeah.
Yeah, multiple times.
And yet you're here working for God.
Yeah.
God uses the broken, brother. God uses the
Well,
broken. He kept you around for a reason.
I'm grateful to be here. I mean, going through the just memories since you said that. I mean, I go back to the times like I've been kidnapped, I've been held hostage. I remember they were going to take me down into a basement and take me out. They were gonna shoot me in the head. Other guys know that house, that there's chains in the wall where they used to take people down and torture them. I've had Glocks to my head. There's been so many things that God has brought me out of. I can just keep going and going going with circumstances and things that have happened. But God in His ultimate mercy and grace, the love that He showed me that day, even when I was on the streets homeless without a pair of shoes, God was talking to me. He was there. He was there all the time. He never left me. He never forsook me. I walked away from him,
Mm-hmm.
but he never walked away from me. And that's what gives me the motivation to wake up every day. Once God showed me really who I was and what He brought me out of, the path of death and destruction and hopelessness and utterly just chaos that my life had led, He chose to love me anyway. And once I really understood that and grasped that, that happened. That revelation of Him loving me in spite of who I was with Pastor Benny,
Mm-hmm.
and that was June, Friday the 13th of this year.
Really?
Of 2025, yeah. And once God showed me that, it changed everything. And so, yeah, for whoever's out there listening right now, that's on the other side of this video, these cameras, there's an amazing God out there. And the Word says it's His love and kindness that draws us to repentance. And so Philippians 2:13, God is working in you, giving you the desire and the power to do what pleases Him, has come alive in my spirit and in my heart, because He's given me a desire. But not only has He given me the desire, but He's given me the power as well to do what is pleasing to Him. And so John 15:5 talks about the vine and the branches. And I'm the vine, you are the branches. If you remain in me, and
You'll bear fruit.
You'll bear fruit, and apart from me you can do nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And so my heart is to remain in Jesus, and it's not by grace, is unmerited favor of God. We can't earn it. We don't deserve it. There's nothing we can do. Our righteousness is as filthy rags compared to the righteousness of God. And so just realizing that and understanding that, and the power of His love is truly transformed me into the person that I am today.
So June of this year is when you had the full on, full blown, like, this is it. This is, I'm on fire for God. This is what the rest of my life's going to be.
Yeah.
Bro, I feel it, man. I
Yeah.
do. Like, a lot of people think it's going to be easy once you feel that. Like, you, in 2007, you had that encounter with Christ, and you grew up with Christ. And when we say to come to Christ, it doesn't mean it's going to make your life easy.
That's right.
It makes it more peaceful, because if you're really in the Word and you're praying, you know God's got your back.
Yeah.
That doesn't make it easy, brother. Life
No.
is not easy.
No.
It's more peaceful, and you can trust God and know that He's got you. But it definitely isn't easy, man. And you've had your ups and downs. So what would you say your plans are for the next 5 years? Because you said you're really on fire for God now. You're in your ministry. You're in your worship. You're trying to bring people to Christ. I know you're going to probably be a part of Hope for the Hood. But for the next 5 years, let's say, where do you think God might be leading you? If you're like me, I have no clue where God's leading me. All I do is He put my feet on a path and I march it. Don't know what my end game is. All I know is I pray every day to make sure I know I'm doing what God wants me to do, and I'll just keep doing that. Don't know what my end game is.
Yeah.
But do you have any idea where you're headed there?
I have no idea, brother. I just take it one day at a time, and you know, fire, wind, and water represents the Holy Spirit, right? And so I'm just going wherever the wind's blowing me, and um, you know, yeah, I feel like one way that God is leading me is I want to see my relationship with my kids,
Yep.
back. That's something I value very deeply in my heart. Right now, I'm a caregiver to my father, and so I'm trying to do that with excellence and not have any regrets, for looking out for him like I did my mother. Um, I do feel that God is drawing me to be there for my children, even though they're so far away. He did give me a heart for Wichita. I feel like this will be my home forever. But my vision aligns with Hope for the Hood's vision, and that is to see the Hood, to see our city transformed by the power of the gospel of Jesus Christ. And I was the heart of the heart. My heart had been hardened. God actually, there was a dream that I had, and I thought that God was showing me a spirit of lust. And I was underneath a city, and I was wading through all of this death and pollution, and the smell was just overwhelming. And in this dream, I looked over in the corner, and there was a Gollum type figure. If you've ever watched Lord of the Rings, there's a Gollum type figure, and he's over in the corner, and he's hunched over, and he's bent over, and he's just scarfing. And he just can't get whatever he's putting in his mouth in him quick enough. And all of the pollution and all the death that I was wading through was what was pouring out of him. And I thought that God was showing me the demon of lust. And because when I seen that dream and woke up, it was like the spirit of lust is your number one enemy. Lust is your number one enemy. I always thought that was a demon. As I was talking to my pastor about that dream, Pastor Benny, he's like, God wasn't showing you a demon. There's not a demon of lust. He's like, God was showing you. And I was the man that had the lust for the money, had the lust for the women, had the lust for the drugs, had the lust for all the things of the world. And but now all of those desires are changed, and I just want to be a person that's made into the image of Christ. I believe that a sanctification isn't a one-time act. I believe it's a lifetime journey.
Act.
Yeah.
It's a daily act through the rest of your life. You're going to crucify the flesh daily, renew your mind daily. I don't think. See, I think a lot of people, when we talk about God to them, they think that we're saying, "Oh, we're better." No, I'm not better than you. I am not a good person. I'm just saved by grace. I don't think I'm better than anybody. I've been through the muck. You've been through the muck. I don't think I'm better than anybody at all. I just know the grace and love of God, and I wanted you to feel the grace and love of God.
Yeah.
Well, if you've got one thing you would say to the folks that would maybe be a lesson to learn from your testimony here, what would it be?
So, my encouragement would be doesn't matter what you've been through. Doesn't matter what obstacles that you faced in life. my encouragement to you would be that there is a loving and a caring God that cares deeply about you. You were created for relationship first. God created us in His image because He wanted somebody that would choose to love Him and choose to be in a relationship with Him. And the second thing I would say is that we all have a purpose-driven destiny to fulfill, and that God chose you and called you to complete a mission, to have purpose outside of the relationship with Him, but to draw others into a relationship with Him. And so our hope is not in our giftings or our abilities, our talents, or what we may be able to accomplish physically in this world. Our hope is in God, and His Word says that when we come to Him, that old things pass away. Behold, all things become new. We can truly be a new creation in Christ Jesus. And that when we do that, that all things work together for good to them that love God and are the called according to His purpose. And one of my favorite scriptures, one of my go-to scriptures is Proverbs 3, 5, and 6. Trust in the Lord with all your might, and don't lean on your own understanding, but in all your ways acknowledge Him, and He will direct your path. So if you're looking for direction today, if you're looking for purpose today, if you are looking for forgiveness today or hope today, then trust in the Lord with all your heart, and don't lean on your own understanding, but in all your ways acknowledge Him, and He'll direct your path.
I love that, brother. I think that's a great way to close it out. Guys, thanks again for watching Spoken Like a Man. This is another episode. We'll see you next week.